Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm so happy to be interviewing my next guest. This is Lisa Swanson, and Lisa is the most sought after expert on helping women over 50 crush their weight loss goals in a naturally progressive way that boosts metabolism, burns belly fat, and keeps it off. Through her signature BASE model, BASE, combining fitness, nutrition, and mindset, women over 50 are finally getting the results they've been struggling to get on their own without depriving diets or hours in the gym. Instead, she teaches them how to enjoy the journey and let go of limiting beliefs that have been holding them back. She is best known for her group coaching program, Metabolic Design, that helps women over 50 reclaim their waistlines so they can live their lives with confidence and joy. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me, Kip. I'm so excited to be here today.
Oh, lovely. Well, Lisa, you describe yourself as a body and soul coach, and I love that. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Why body and soul?
Well, interesting story. I started, I'll try to limit what I say here because I've been in the fitness industry for over 35 years now. And, started out as a trainer. And as a trainer, you focus on the physical part of the body and learning the anatomy and the kinesiology. And it's awesome to learn how much control we actually do have over our body and what we can create. And then as you go on, I said, I got to learn a little bit more about nutrition, and then got educated in that and certified as a nutritionist and brought the nutrition into it. So it's like, okay, you get the fitness and nutrition together. This is great. But now realizing the third part was really working on the mindset and that mind-body connection, which I think really does get into your soul. And that was the missing piece. And I didn't realize that until, I knew something was missing. I'll put it that way. I knew something was missing. And it was on my 50th birthday that I really felt it. I could tell, like I was getting good results with clients, but I could still see struggles, still like hearing complaints that I had and other women had, just like feeling a little invisible, doctors not recognizing what we were going through, just sort of dismissing us. Yeah, well, you're older now, just accept it. I was like, no, it shouldn't be this way. And even looking into not having to accept what's happening with our bodies physically, but I remember feeling I was so overworked. I had 3 different studios I was running. I was very disconnected to my own intuition and my own spirituality. And I remember I turned 50 literally that day. I went for the longest walk and just started soul searching and going, well, who am I? Just me without everything else. And what's going on in my life? And what is my connection? What is my intuition? I had all these questions. And I actually came up with, I'm like, I really need to connect body, mind, and soul. I really got to bring this together. And I said, that's what I want to create. And over the next couple of years, I systematically sold all my studios. I had 3 studios I was running. I sold all my studios and started building body and soul connection.
Well, that's an amazing journey. And it's so interesting. So many of the women that I work with and that I've been speaking to have talked about the same things you've touched on there, this feeling of being invisible at this stage in life. I hear that over and over again. The need to connect to something greater than ourselves. And so often that is, you've mentioned intuition, and that's sort of soul-centered approach to living our lives now. Why now you're focused mostly on women over 50? Why did you make that choice? Is it just because that's the stage of life you're in, or do you feel there's a greater need for that particular demographic?
I think there's a huge need for women over 50 in this demographic in finding somebody who understands what they are going through emotionally and physically. I would have, before I started body and soul coaching, I would have clients come up to you and say, Lisa, your trainers are great, but they're not you. And I'd be like, well, thank you for the compliment. I love that. But in what way? Tell me more. It's like, they just don't get it. I feel like I'm exercising with, one of my children, and they don't understand the changes my body is going through. All this like push, and we need to do things differently as we get older. And there's very little research out there to tell women, this is how you do it. Because they're not just the connection with younger trainers not working, like when people call me, it's like, thank God I found somebody who's not in their 20s or 30s that is doing this. But it was also understanding that we have to approach this differently. There's a soul connection, but there's also the physical connection. We're not, at this point, we can't be eating less and exercising more. The old standard, right? It's going to put too much stress on our bodies, and our bodies aren't meant to take that much stress. We have enough stress already with the change in our hormones. We don't have the protection of stress, I should say. And a lot of people don't realize this, that actually in this stage in our life, we have to de-stress, exercise less, smarter, right? Not harder, smarter, and eat in a way that balances us. And it's just missing everywhere else.
That's so interesting. And, you know, I've heard a kind of expression. It's like an 80-20 ratio in terms of increasing wellness and fitness. I think we always think the first thing we need to do is exercise more, get on the elliptical, get on the treadmill. But in fact, it's the nutrition piece that's maybe more important. Exercise, absolutely, it's vitally important, but it doesn't have the same impact, I would say, as our nutritional choices. Is that a fair statement? Is that something that you're finding as well?
Yes, that's definitely a fair statement, but I'd like to clarify just a little bit more. Now, when people ignore the strength training, so for the fitness part, I'm going to talk strength training, because that's actually, strength training is much more important than the cardio. Because remember, we're losing muscle as we get older. We lose naturally 0.5 pound of lean tissue a year. That's a metabolically active tissue. And we're going to get weaker and have poor posture and now injuries and lose our balance. So if we don't work on that strength, that is hugely important. So that part aside, with the nutrition, the strength is going to put the muscle on us and help change inches, help change our body composition. So you can weigh the same, but have more muscle and less fat. But the nutrition is really what gets you to lose the weight. But it's not about dieting down. I think especially women in our age group, I mean, let's face it, we grew up with, the model was be skinny, get thin. It wasn't about strength and muscle. I think it is more so now, but growing up, it was do whatever you can to be as thin as you can, right? Can't be too thin or too rich was a common slogan when we were younger. But that's not what it's about, because if they're just dieting down, they're stressing their body. So the metabolism's going to react, they're losing muscle. So it's about balancing that nutrition in a way that works with your metabolism. And that's what's definitely going to get the weight off.
Yeah. And I really like that when you talk about nutrition and diet, that term diet is so, it can be really misleading. And you know, I said in the intro that it's not about deprivation. And I think that's what we equate diet and deprivation. And it's really more about nourishment, isn't it? It's nourishing our bodies. And we think in terms of nourishing, what do our bodies need to feel really nourished? And that's so much more important than just cutting foods out for the sake of looking skinny, because skinny is not necessarily healthy, and especially at this age.
Exactly. I had this one woman I worked with. She came to me after going through, I can't remember the name of the diet. It was a diet program that was so restrictive. They actually told you, she was on this for a year, they told you, do not exercise while on this diet.
Wow.
Right? Yes, you know, Kip, you know. And that's what I was like, don't exercise. Wow. So it turned out when I started training her, she could not lift any weights more than 3 pounds.
Wow.
So imagine, even for a bicep curl, not being able to lift more than 3 pounds. What's that going to do to your activities of daily living? You go to the grocery store, you fall down, you have to pick yourself back up. Like, imagine what that's doing to your bones. All of this, it's just like, no, you've got to feed your body so that it can stay strong. And right, I love what you said about you have to nourish yourself. When I hear nourishment, it's not just about your macros and your micronutrients. It's all about nourishing your mind as well. You need to be able to go out and enjoy a meal with friends. And like, people say, can I go out to eat? It's like, yes, because you got to live your life. You need to be able to go out to eat. I'm not saying go out to eat and have a feast 5 days a week. That's not going to work. You know, we all know that. But you need to be able to fit this in a way that makes you feel like you said, nourished, makes you feel taken care of, makes you feel like you've had a little bit of an indulgence, because we're here to enjoy our life. And I think if we haven't learned anything over the past 50 some odd years, it's that we're here to enjoy this life. We're not here to, we don't have to white knuckle our way through it.
Oh, that's so true. I love that. That's so well said. So I referred to your BASE model in the introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What does BASE, B-A-S-E, stand for, and what is it exactly?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you. So BASE, this is when I was first developing body and soul coaching, and I was thinking, what is it? One of the most important things I need to make sure that everything I do in my program includes, like what is like my mission statement almost. And so the words I came up with that means so much to me and means a lot to my programming is BASE: balanced, adaptable, sustainable, and effective. So what does all that mean? Balanced means that I'm going to work in a way with your nutrition to make sure it's balanced, because if you balance your nutrition, you balance your hormones, you balance your hormones, you balance your metabolism, you balance that, you're going to lose weight. And it's also about finding balance in life. Time on, time off, right? Well, I said you're dieting, for lack of a better word, but you're watching your nutrition, but you're also having some indulgences. You're working out, but you're also resting. Like, what is, I really think that balance in our life is a hugely important. And then on my end of it, I need to be able to balance everything for people coming into my program. I need to be able to say, okay, what's Kip doing right now? And how can I balance out what she's doing to help her move forward? The adaptable part is we need to learn how to adapt all the time to what's going on. Because when I'm teaching somebody how to eat in a way that works for their body, I always tell them, this is working for your body where you are now. 10 years from now, it's going to be a different body. And you need to learn how to adapt as you go on and as you grow. I don't want people coming back to me, 5 years from now saying, I got to do this all over again. Because that, to me, then I'm stuck in with the diet industry, which I don't want to be that. I want to be able to teach people to be their own nutritionists. And you're going to do that by learning how to adapt, whether it's adapting your nutrition because you've gotten older or because you've put on more muscle, or adapting your workout because you had an injury or you're traveling. We all need to make sure that we are adaptable to what's going on in our lives. Sustainable is that whatever you're doing must be sustainable, something you can do long-term. If I'm giving somebody a workout to do, it's going to take them an hour and a half. How likely are they to follow through with that? They're not. I wouldn't. Or if they're going on, like guys tell me keto diet, because I want to do keto diet. It's like, okay, you realize that's like, 5% carbohydrates. Is that something you can live with? And if they can live with that, I'm not a believer in it, but they can live with that, then go ahead and do that. But if it's not something you can sustain, then don't go there, because what are you going to do when it's done? You're going to go back to what you were doing before. So it must be sustainable. Whatever I'm giving people to do has to be sustainable, and it has to be effective. And by effective, it means not only do you lose the weight, you keep it off. And I believe a lot of that comes through with our mindset, because we can't follow through with the nutrition and the workouts if in our minds we don't believe it's possible, or in our minds we have an identity that we are unfit and out of shape. Like, we really have to make lots of shifts in order to make all of this effective.
So many points of
I know there's so many things in that. You should see me trying to whittle that down to 4 words.
Well done. You did a really good job of that. And you're speaking my language. That I think the idea with diets that is so problematic is that it is a temporary mindset. I'm gonna go in this diet to lose the weight so I can look great in this dress for this function, or this event, or bathing suit season, or whatever it is. And then what happens is we go back to the old way of eating. And so it's just, that's where this, yo-yo dieting comes in. It's frustrating. I think many women that talk to me about it, that say they put on the weight and then some. So it almost takes them in the wrong direction. It's a temporary thing, but ultimately they end up losing more. And I've certainly noticed my body has changed. I've always loved training. I've been an athlete my whole life, and I love doing work in the gym, but my body doesn't respond the way it used to. If I spend the same amount of time and the same level of intensity, I do not get the same outcome. I don't build muscle the same way. So what is it that's going on in our bodies now that causes that? And how do you get women to just to embrace that as well? It's, you know, because I've been in resistance to that for a while. I felt like, why am I not getting the results? And so I think the mindset piece is just accepting this is a different stage of life.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean it's declined. It's just a beautiful change that's going on. So
Right.
what can you share about that?
Right. Oh, okay. There's a lot in there. Let's see. So first off, where do I want to start? I think, well, when you're looking at my body's not responding the same. No, because it is a different body. And it's changing all the time. We don't have the estrogen that we used to have, right? So estrogen actually was protecting us from cortisol all these years. So that's why we're now getting belly fat. People say, wait a minute, I never gained in my belly before. I gained in my hips and thighs. I'm used to that, but not in my belly. And it's like, well, cortisol puts the fat in your belly. It's the stress hormone, one of the stress hormones. And because we don't have estrogen protected us from that, we don't have the same amount of estrogen. So we need to lower our stress. So not just stress in I have a busy day and work is crazy and I have these family things going on. There's that type of stress, but dieting is a stress on your body. Working out is a stress on your body. So we can't keep working out and putting that stress on our body and working out the same amount of time, because now cortisol level is rising up. So when I'm working with my clients, I'm teaching them shorter workouts, longer rest periods in between, and doing things like walking, things that are going to keep that metabolism going without raising this stress. I said, I don't care if you do cardio. Well, for your heart, I shouldn't say I don't care. For your heart muscle, that's a muscle too. And we want to be cardiovascularly strong, and it feels good to do cardio, right? So do it, but don't do it 6 days a week, not doing it for an hour on the treadmill. It's like, maybe do a couple of cardios, but then go for a nice long walk. Do some strength training, get in there, work them hard, get out, rest, go for a walk, relax, go out with friends, enjoy yourself, get a good night's sleep. So all of those things are necessary in order for us to put the muscle on. Because just think about it, when it takes us longer to repair, we can't go working the muscle too soon because it hasn't finished repairing. So in that way, actually, I think we're kind of lucky. We can work out less and get better results.
Okay, that's very helpful. I'm just wondering if you could speak a little bit about how our relationship to our bodies connects to our sense of self-confidence. And you've written about helping women reclaim their waistlines.
Yeah.
What is that about? What does that mean, and how does that translate into feeling more self-confident? And having a better relationship with our bodies?
Okay, so that's a great question. I think the reclaiming waistlines, because that's what most people come to me looking for. It's like, I've got to lose this belly fat, and my waist never looked like this before. So they've got this person that they believe they are on the inside, and they look at their body and they say, that's not me. I don't recognize myself in the mirror. I want to see me again. So there is that physical part that we want to be working with. But in order to get there, we also need to make a little bit of shifts and build up our confidence. People say, well, if I were leaner and fitter, I'd feel more confident. But I'm saying you need to feel more confident and love yourself in order to get there. All right, you're going to switch this around a little bit. So we work a lot with just like in a coaching call we had recently, it was a great call. And we talked a lot about self-identity. It's like, well, who are you and who do you want to be? And they're like, well, I want to be really fit and lean, that person who, walks into a room and feels great. And it's like, all right, now how does that feel in your body? It's like, well, I feel exhilarated. I feel confident. I feel energized. And it's like, all right, so I want you to connect to that energy and start living that energy. What do you need to do in order to feel that? It's like when you go for a walk, start thinking about walking taller and think about confidence as you're walking. I want them to just really embody it in every cell in their body about how they feel, not when they get there, now. Get that feeling now. When you can start feeling that now, and it's amazing what you can accomplish, because all of a sudden it's like you start thinking, oh, wait a minute, I am a fit, strong woman. I am confident. I do feel great. I do like to socialize. And you start feeling better. You start feeding yourself better. and you start feeding yourself better because you believe that's who I am. It's just it's what I do. It's my lifestyle. And you start moving more. And all of this comes back. And when you can shed that stress and you can shed that, that block of trying to find that person in the future, and you can get that person now in your heart, you start shedding the belly fat. It honestly, it starts coming off.
That's amazing. And I love this idea about identity. I was just thinking as you were speaking there, I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Bungay Stanier. I think he's originally an Australian. He's in Toronto now, and he's got a company called Box of Crayons, and he's all about leadership and just living your best life. And he's a fun guy. And he has this phrase that he encourages people to adopt. And that is, whatever it is, let's say it's around health and wellness. So I would say something like, I am a healthy athlete, and every day and then you fill in the blank. So I'm a healthy athlete, and every day I work on my fitness, for example. So it speaks to identity. Yes. And it's, there's a difference between who we are and what we do. So, you would not describe yourself as someone who works as a personal trainer. You are a coach. You are a fitness professional. It's who you are. It's in your, I imagine it's in your DNA. You've been doing it for such a long time. So, I am a personal trainer, and every day I support women to live their best lives. So it's a kind of a claiming, isn't it? And I think it speaks to what you're talking about. It's like claiming this identity. And because I am X or Y, then I do these things. But the identity piece comes first.
Yes. Oh, I totally agree. And that's another exercise I'll have my clients do. It's like, okay, so who is that person you want to be? Who are you? And it's like, now what does that person behave like? Where are the gaps between what you're doing now and what that person does? Where are the gaps? What's missing? I had this one client, she really wanted to be a runner. And she started saying, I am a runner. I am a runner. So if I'm a runner, then I have my running clothes ready to go in the morning. A runner would have that done. A runner wouldn't let some drizzle and rain stop her from running. And it was so funny. We went through this great coaching session talking about it. And the next day she got up, and this is so she hadn't run in a long time. She got up and ran a mile right off the bat. And I think there was a lot of adrenaline going in there because she was very excited. And she's like, wow, it felt really great. Because she started identifying as a runner and then connected the behaviors of a runner in order to do that. And it just started flowing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's our language, isn't it? Our language at the most fundamental level. We use our language to create our reality. And so speaking into this identity then translates into behaviors and shifting habits and ultimately a better, healthier, more vibrant life. I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you have to have that mindset part of it. It's so important to be able to connect with what you want and start creating that now. It's like you can't lose weight to love yourself. You've got to love yourself first, and then the weight's going to come off. That's imperative. And I really wish a lot of women would know that. And I feel like in our age group, when you're getting to be over 50, I'm over 60. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, when you get up here, it's almost like, okay, I had the awkwardness of the 20s trying to search for who I am, got a little more confident in my 30s. And as you go through, we still question ourselves a little bit, but we're still giving and giving. And not that giving is bad. We want to give, but we have to give to ourselves first. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like women coming into this part of our life, this better half of our life coming up, the second half, the better half, it's all right, it's time for me now. It's time for me to really shine and step into who I am.
Oh, that's so beautiful and fits so perfectly with the wild and wise theme of this masterclass. Yeah, and it's interesting that when you turned 50, that was a demarcation for you where you had to look at now who am I now? And so I suppose this could be an invitation for our viewers to, if you're in a place that you're not completely comfortable, taking the time to ask that question, who am I? Who do I want to become? Or who am I underneath that has been buried by years of supporting others and looking after others? Because I think you're right that we have prioritized other people And now it's time for ourselves. And that's not a selfish thing, as you say. It's actually a beautiful thing, because if we're feeling healthy and strong and in a good place, we'll be better able to serve others.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Put your own oxygen mask on first, as they say. It's so important. I can remember also when I was doing that, maybe an exercise that viewers would want to do is take some time, like get some free space where you're not going to be interrupted by anybody, and get yourself grounded. I like to meditate. In the beginning, I'll tell you, I couldn't even meditate. I could only do moving meditations because I couldn't sit still, which told me, okay, that's important. I need to learn how to sit still. But it takes some time to just be quiet and ask, who am I? Without your partner, without your children, without your business, without anything else, just you alone. Who are you? It's a really interesting question to ask yourself.
It is. It's a simple question. You would think you could answer it straight away, but actually not that easy. And I think you're right. It takes a bit of time. You may need to sit with the question for a while and then the answers do arise, don't they? They arise within us. And not from, as you say, not from anyone outside us, but from within. So
yeah, absolutely. I think when you ground yourself, when you're meditating or you ground yourself, whatever meditation is for you, if it's sitting quietly, if it's going for a walk, a bike ride, whatever it is for you that just helps clear that mind, it opens it up so that you can hear your intuition or your higher self, your higher power, whatever you want to call it. You can hear it when you get yourself quiet, and those answers will come. Just let it flow. Just relax with it.
Oh, such good advice. Lisa, I'm just curious, wild and wise, when you hear that phrase, what does that mean for you?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, wise, I believe we have been collecting all sorts of wisdom throughout our lives. We've had so many different experiences, and I think they're all there for a reason, to teach us something about ourselves or the world or whatever it is, but we're collecting information. And now we have so much, we are much wiser. We have collected a lot of information. We do know, regardless of what society wants to listen to us or not, we do have a lot of wisdom in us. We've experienced so much, good and bad. Wild, I would say wild is, it's like we're ready to step into our true self, right? It's like, I don't care what you think. I'm going to be me now. And if that's going to be wild me, that's okay. If that's going to be my introverted me, that's okay as well. Whatever it is, it's okay just to be me.
Oh, I love it. That's so beautifully put. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap this up shortly, but I'd like to invite you to share. You've got a beautiful gift for our viewers today. Would you like to share what that is?
Yes, I do. So it is 7 simple solutions to losing belly fat, because this is what people, I know there's so much more to it than just belly fat, but this is what people come to me about. And I put together a nice PDF for you, which you can download. And I give you these 7 tips and hints towards those tips about how you can best implement them, and even a tracker so you can make sure you're following them each day. And so you can start seeing some changes in that waistline, and hopefully you're going to be building some confidence along with that as well.
Oh, I love it. That's so generous. Thank you. I know that our viewers will love to get their hands on that. So thank you so much. And we will provide the link for that, so you can access that in an email that will be shortcoming. Lisa, thank you. This has been such a delight to talk to you. I think we could have gone on for at least another hour today.
Yeah.
I appreciate your wisdom and your joy for life and the good work you're doing. So thank you for being here. Thank you.
Oh, Kip, thank you. Thank you for having me on. This is a great thing you're doing with the Wise and Wild Women. This is it's phenomenal. There's a lot of women over 50 out there that you all should be following. I'm going to be following all of them in this series that you're doing.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. Take care.